Back from The Walking Dead. This is episode 5 of season 11. Very excited to see what's going to happen next. Last episode we had Daryl in league with the Reapers. We met the leader who talks a lot. Leah is back in the picture as well. She's one of them, so that's a bit awkward. And yeah, there was a lot of intensity with that one. I don't know if we're going to be carrying on focusing on that, or if we're going to, switch and focus on someone else in this one. Could kind of go either way, but I'm excited to see where the season goes next. So let's just dive into the next one.
You lost?
I'm scared.
Is that a wolf? Okay, is this a dream? Oh! And the Terminator to top it all off. Shocking absolutely no one. People are having a terrible time in The Walking Dead. Hooray! We're safe for another day or so. Propaganda? One Division? What is this? Yes.
Hello.
Goodbye.
I'm Lance Hornsby, and have been approved to join us.
This guy's killed thousands.
Yes. Okay, this is a good sign.
Alexandria's our home. Not ready to abandon ship, not yet. We've got to fight to save it first.
We've been trying to save it for like, what, 5 seasons now?
I don't understand why you haven't put me down yet. Shit!
Oh, this is just depressing, isn't it?
Dude. Let's try.
Ah, yes, that person.
Center yourself.
Ah. Oh yeah, that's clever. Well done.
I'm gonna tell Rosita.
Shut up! You talk too much. No wonder your mom abandoned you.
Oh, fuck you. Cut his head off,
What did you
Judith.
say? Say it again.
Yeah, go on, mate.
I dare you.
Yes, I dare you too. He looks like the son from Modern Family. Who are these children? Not you, Judith, you're an angel. Who are those children? Why are they here?
Look, how about we take this food back? Alright, I know it's not a lot, but at least it's something.
It's nothing. We need to feed a whole community.
Maggie, you need to know when to cut your losses.
I think there is sort of sense to that. Maybe take it with you and then carry on for a little bit.
We give it till sundown. And if the others don't show by then, they're not gonna.
I think that's kind of fair. Oh my god, I'm so hungry.
Is it ready, boss? Should I run it over to...
Oh, is this your brother?
Hi, Tommy.
No! Oh god,
Not much.
that's the worst loss so far in The Walking Dead.
The way they're moving. They're being herded.
Whisperers.
Oh. These guys need to give up.
Ah, don't kill him! I know him! How is he doing?
I imagine you would.
That wouldn't happen to be Rocky Road there, would it?
Okay, bye.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, damn.
That is also me eating ice cream.
I work in the comms department. I could get access to the equipment, but to get official clearance, it would take a couple weeks. So,
Weeds. Damn.
Square one.
Uh-oh. The scary man is suspicious. Oh.
Who broke her handprints?
You little fucker.
Don't lie. I can help you put it back together, Judith. Me too. We all will.
Oh, these kids. I want to adopt them all.
Carl wanted you to have a memory together.
It's broken.
I'm gonna cry. This isn't good.
It's gone.
Oh, Judith.
Everybody is.
I miss them all too.
Me too.
Does it get easier?
I'd be lying if I said it did.
She's only dreaming about Abraham the other day.
Worried I'll start to forget about it.
I didn't know it then, but she was teaching me to survive on my own. So I'd be okay if she ever wasn't there. And Carl and your dad did the same thing for you. But you don't need that to remember how much they loved you.
Cool. Fuck.
Besides, I'm really good at fixing things.
Name.
See, why can't we have more of that instead of a whole episode of Daryl getting kidnapped and tortured and joining a group again?
You think it's a trap? Wouldn't put it past him.
Aaron's right. We need to make sure he's not a threat.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Cellar until we decide what to do with him. What is it? Nothing good.
Oh.
This is Nabila's. No.
Oh.
They were in Alexandria. They burnt down our home.
You little snake. I'm glad the one in the bright pink jacket wasn't doing all the stealth.
I almost forget what's going on outside these walls.
Cool, that'd be nice.
And you've just been here. So if I wanted to get help for people, I could do that here.
Anything's possible as long as you follow the rules.
Yeah. You can get help for someone in about 2 to 3 years.
Hell yes.
Just returning your property, princess. Was there something else?
Yeah. You have really beautiful eyelashes.
You pretend you're better than the dead. The dead is honest.
I mean, they're fine with you when you don't try to kill them, sir.
The hell are you doing?
Oh dear.
Stopping you from doing something else you're gonna regret.
I'm doing what I have to keep everyone I love safe. You of all people should understand that.
Not like this.
Carol's been blinded by hate for the Whisperers before.
It controlled me. I let it take me down a very dark path.
Yeah.
People I care about were hurt. Now everything that I do, I carry that. This is a path you don't want to go down.
I mean, the guy did lie to you just now and try to attack. You know, I'm not gonna feel too bad for him.
We're all safe, we're doing okay. How are things there?
Eugene. Eugene, are you still there?
Uh-oh.
Hands up. Move away from the radio.
Oh dear.
You're under arrest. Unauthorized use of government property.
Is she not under arrest?
Taking him back to Alexandria.
This mission isn't finished.
It is for me.
Oh dear, well. I mean, maybe let him take the supplies back, and then you carry on and get the ones you want to get. Oh,
Oh my god, you made it.
hooray! Vindication of sorts.
We wait.
We wait. We want to talk to our lawyer.
You have an attorney?
Damn right we do. Fancy one too.
It's true.
So if this place lacks rules so much, you have to let us have one.
I'll take it from here, John.
It's Propaganda Man.
He might be able to stop you from being banished, but it won't be scot-free. You'll have to pay for what you've done, one way or another.
Are they gonna take Princess's dollar back?
You don't think we've changed, do you?
It's not for me to say.
We did try to attack them, so we didn't give them much reason
I
to.
saw one of your people. The girl who came out of the cave where Alpha kept the horde.
Well, Connie. Okay, that was a really good episode. Very much enjoyed it. And I like that it gave some focus to some of the characters that haven't really been seen much this season as well. I think Aaron and Rosita had two big ones there. Even Lydia got a bit. So I appreciated that. And should we start off with the Aaron stuff? We might as well. He started the episode off with his bizarre dream. I like that. It was a subtler way, I guess, of celebrating the show's history, having some of our, former big bad cult people represented, with like the wolves and the whisperers and saviors and stuff like that. So that was cool to kind of get an insight into Aaron going into potentially a slightly darker place with having dreams like that. And the very last flash he got before he woke up was the guy from One More at the bonus episode, who Gabriel bashed his head in. Which of course, that episode itself went quite dark, and to see Aaron experience all of that, and once again fighting for his daughter, potentially doing some very dark, morally grey things to get to that point, I think is an interesting thing. Wonder how many people will be mad at him for that, given that they seem to get mad at Maggie for it, but that's me. But either way, I did enjoy them kind of giving some focus to him there, and the fact that, this is a truly desperate situation for everyone without any food and stuff. So we have Maggie, Negan and co, who went off to try and get some food however they could. And then, the threat, like some of the whispers may still be out there, and the walls are still coming down. There's still things urgently required in Alexandria. And I think Aaron's feeling the full force of that, and letting things look a bit bleaker for him, and pushing how far he needs to go to get certain things done, which I think a lot of characters have kind of gone through recently, and Carol certainly did last season as well, and I like that they addressed that in this one, kind of maybe concluded Aaron's arc in this episode with Carol kind of talking to him, saying, I've been where you could potentially be going, it's not a path you want to go down, because she was actually consumed by that darkness concerning the whispers and stuff, and she was seeing that happen all over again. I kind of wish maybe she'd seen someone else respond like that to the whispers a lot sooner, and she probably would have snapped out of it, and there'd have been a lot less trouble caused. But they wouldn't have needed to probably go and save Connie then, because she would have been fine. But I like that they tied that in together, and Carol kind of said, snap out of it, buddy. You don't want to go down that path. So that was neat. I like how they, had the beginnings of a similar story for Aaron potentially, but used what Carol had gone through to maybe rectify it. I don't know if they're still going to explore that side of Aaron or not. So I do think it's kind of interesting that he was more so the one who was shocked by how dark Gabriel went, I think, in One More. And now, it's gotten even more desperate since then. It's just, when is the moment where you just snap? And I think, Aaron was getting quite close to that. So I enjoyed what they did with that. I thought that was an interesting story, and bringing some surviving whispers into it, I thought was quite cool. I wouldn't want it to just be, a thing that the whispers are still a threat, 'cause I feel like we just need to move past them now, because we already have the Reapers. Not that I'm super hyped about the Reapers anymore, but we still have that. We still have the Commonwealth stuff. So there's a lot going on. But I suppose if they have an extended season, they could do more with it. But I feel like this was kind of it, because these guys were apparently just trying to survive, and please don't punish us, we're just trying to get by. But you're still wearing the Whisperer masks, if you really wanted to break your ways, just leave the place where there were a few zombies gathered, maybe. And then, they shared that evil look and then went to attack them. So it's not like they're entirely changing their ways, but I guess they were somewhat provoked. They weren't harming anyone while they were just hanging out there. So I can see both sides of that whole debate. but they were acting like they had no reason to not trust them and everything, and they literally did attack them, but it's fine. So yeah, I like them briefly exploring that and some after effects of it. It was cool that Lydia was there as well, gave her a bit to do, more of the conflict she went through, I guess, in terms of these were people she knew for, you know, a good portion of her life potentially. Obviously not all of them particularly well, like that guy. But I imagine it's still kind of difficult to see that happen to someone that you used to survive with. And she was fully aware, and she's kind of living proof that not all the Whisperers are bad people, maybe misguided, certainly not all like alpha. So her trying to kind of... They just needed someone, I think, to be on the other side of the debate in terms of what to do with those people. Whereas, you know, Jerry kind of saw red, I think, when they had his wife's, you know, scarf or whatever it was that they nicked. So you can understand that. And I guess when I was like, oh, they're not harming anyone, just staying in their little patch of hilltop or whatever it was. They must have snuck into Alexandria because they helped burn it down and everything, didn't they? So they did do some harm. They did kind of start that. You know, they say they just want to survive, and when Alpha died, you know, we just all split off. But those people were part of them destroying Alexandria. So they didn't entirely just piss off and try and survive on their own, did they? So, not entirely on their side. Yeah, it's morally grey, I guess. But, you know, I didn't necessarily feel bad if any of them were to have been killed or whatever. But there you go. They ended up just, I guess, being the bigger people, taking that step forward, giving them some food, sending them on their way. You know, certainly wouldn't get another chance, for sure. But, you know, first thing that guy did was lie to them about, you know, if it was just him or not, and if they were Whisperers, whatever. So that could be like a good step forward for the future. Is maybe it's just about letting things go and you just have to be the bigger person and try and move on. And maybe that's ultimately where they're going to go with the Negan and Maggie stuff as well. So maybe that's why they had a bit more of their story in the same episode as this storyline going on. So that would be interesting to see. Because they do seem to make some progress with Maggie and Negan, then they just take 3 steps back and they just had a little like fight in this one, which I thought was a bit odd. But yeah, I like how there were some stories that kind of linked together in that way. And we also had a bit of a story with Judith, I guess, more so about the past. So I like the kind of contrast there, kind of exploring potential futures, whereas Judith right now is kind of feeling a bit nostalgic and a bit scared of the past, even though, you know, you could also be quite scared of the future right now, especially when you're as young as Judith is and all those kids. And they seem to be the ones having the best time in this episode and actually, you know, not doing too badly, very supportive of each other. So I liked everything with that, very much so. What else? Well, let's talk about the Judith stuff, I suppose. Kaylee Fleming is phenomenal. Genuinely, like, probably the best child actor, like, ever. She's so good. I can't wait to see what she does in future. Like, if she's this good now, imagine how great she's going to be when she's older doing other stuff. Like, absolutely insane. What a find when they cast her as Judith. Like, oh my god, we had no idea how lucky we were. Because, you know, Judith needed to be so integral to the show, I think, after they killed Carl. And that whole character could have fallen so flat if they'd written her wrong, or if, you know, the performance just wasn't there. But, oh my god, she's an absolute star. That scene with her and Rosita, I could have watched so much more of that. Those are the scenes I definitely want in you know, what's going to be the final season, because we're not going to see a lot of these characters again after this season. And I like that they're pairing some characters. They're pairing some characters that haven't really interacted that much. And I thought that was such a lovely moment coming from Rosita as well. You know, she's recently become a mum, talking about how, you know, she lost her parent, never knew her dad. Her own daughter's never going to know her dad because Sadiq was killed. So she kind of understands a bit of the fear, I guess, that you're going to forget someone, forget your loved ones, and everyone just leaves. I love that they continue to explore that with Judith, because it's not going to be something like you have one episode and she's going to feel better about Michonne being gone or whatever, and then that's fine forever. It's going to be like a consistent thing. You're going to miss people. And I love that, you know, they brought that up with the handprint thing getting damaged that, you know, Judith and Carl made in his last episode. So I thought that was a really beautiful scene, and I hope we get more emotional stuff like that, because that's easily my favourite scene of the episode and this season so far. It was so good, and I loved Rosita kind of comforting Judith, saying she doesn't just need a bit of wood to know how much they loved her, and it's just, you know, Rick and Carl mentions always just get me emotional at this point. And I think with Rick being gone as well, we haven't gotten as much of a mention of Carl, really, as we would have done if he was still around. Same with, you know, Enid being gone as well, and Michonne being gone. So it's nice to have that moment, and Walking Dead just not forgetting its history again, which I always really enjoy. So that was a beautiful scene. I loved what they did with that, and that is what I want the final season to definitely lean more so into, other than just beats we've explored before, like the episode last week. So yeah, that was fantastic scene. I really adored that. Those bullies can go to hell. Hate them. I hope they get eaten by Jeffrey D. Morgan's kid, because I think that's who was playing that Walker kid that they were trying to like tease or whatever. So that's really cool that they got him involved. Jeffrey and Hillary's kid. So that was really cool. And that, yeah, just that emotional storyline I thought worked very well. And again, it would have fallen flat on its face if Kaylee, you know, wasn't as phenomenal as she is. So yeah, it makes me sad because like we have to see a little girl pretend to cry, but she's so good at it. It's very emotional. So I enjoyed feeling that emotion about The Walking Dead. That was very good, and those little character moments that I really adore and cherish, and I will certainly miss when the show's done. But yeah, I liked that little side story with those two in particular. That was a highlight of the episode for me. And then Maggie and Negan, they're still just at each other's throats. You know, I've mentioned many times, I'm very much more so on Maggie's side, and I can completely understand her never wanting to forgive Negan. I don't know if she ever will or not, but I'd understand if she never does, for many reasons. But I also know I'm not blind to the fact that Negan's changed a lot, and Maggie hasn't seen that. But I'm also of the camp that Negan needs to give Maggie a break and take a step in her shoes if she thinks, you know, he thinks about how he never got over losing Lucille, really. And yet he's like, oh, I'm sick to death of, you know, me not getting a vote, blah, 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 blah. So I like that he was like, you know, I'm going to tell you what I think. I know it doesn't matter because you're not going to care, you're not going to listen to me, but I'm going to tell you what I think anyway. I like, in a way, that he's understanding of that and he's not getting pissed about it now. Because I think he learned some level of respect with others, but even so, Daryl still doesn't like him. He'll still kind of ignore him and stuff, and Daryl's seen all of that change in Negan. And people expect Maggie to just be fine with it as well. It's very bizarre to me. That being said, I do think Negan made some very good points in this episode. Ultimately, Maggie was probably right to stay in the end, because Gabriel did show up. So they did have a few more extra people now. But I don't think it necessarily would have been a bad plan for Negan and Maggie to carry on, and maybe just for Negan to go take some of that little food that they found back, so at least it's something. We don't want to see another horse be killed. So yeah, I could see again both sides of the thing in general, but I do think Negan had some good points in this one. But it's just the circumstances, isn't it? It's there's one thing, you know, atoning for your sins and stuff like that, but there's also the fact that he was the big bad of the show for like 2 seasons, you know. It's going to take a lot more work for him to get through that. So it continues to be a very complicated issue, basically. But I do feel like we are slowly making progress, maybe. There just needs to be something else, I think, a big kind of catalyst for big developments there. But there's just, I think that tension's just always going to be there between them, basically. So yeah, at least they're not just alone with the two of them now. They do have some friends to help. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. I imagine the mission's just going to continue now that they do have people. But yeah, it's morally grey, and we're 5 episodes in. I'm already sick of the internet arguing about Maggie and Negan, to be honest, so I'm kind of hoping we just find some sort of resolution fairly soon, but I think it's going to be a season-long thing, and I suppose in terms of story it probably needs to be, because I don't think Maggie's just going to forgive and forget very easily. Because I know we dealt with this in Rick's last episode, when she decided not to kill him, but that's because he was in such a bad state emotionally, and I think he's a lot more sure of himself now, and he doesn't want to die anymore, so I think that's just angered her all over again. That's why it all started back up. But yeah, I could see a lot of Negan's points in this episode in particular, for sure. But yeah, it just continues with those two. Same old song. I'm waiting for a big kind of change to happen. I mean, it would have just been easier if Negan had helped Maggie at the end of episode 1, I'm just saying. It would have been, but it's fine. Whatever, I understand why he left her. So stuff like that, and then I think everything else was in the Commonwealth, I believe. Yumiko reuniting with her brother Tommy. I'm looking forward to learning a bit more about him. I thought the casting was very good, actually, for that. And the fact that he has been at the Commonwealth since very early on. So they seem to do have a good reputation with him, unless he's just kind of been brainwashed or whatever, because there's some not so good sides to the place, but I think it is quite genuine in what it's trying to do. I just don't know if everyone's going to agree with how they do it. We'll see. But we had like the funny video at the start with the Hornsby guy, and that just, videos like that in an apocalyptic world of any kind is just a big red flag to me. But maybe they are just genuinely trying to do some good, and it's not like they found a secret stash of walkers in a barn or anything like that. They were in trouble because they violated the rules and they snuck into the radio bit. So it's cool to see a bit of contact and crossover with storylines there, a bit of progress made there. But now, arrested. But maybe Hornsby is going to get them out of more severe punishment. So there's still some development going on with the whole Commonwealth thing with them. I'm really liking that side of things, actually, seeing what the community is like, seeing a bit more of Stephanie, a bit more of Mercer. Princess and Mercer are going to be a dynamic duo, I think. I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more of their interactions, because I feel like Mercer's quite fond of Princess, but he doesn't want to let that on because of his whole deal. I feel like he actually finds her quite funny and charming. That's what I get anyway, and we already know Princess finds him to be a very handsome man. So there's a bit of levity and a bit of lightheartedness to this story, which I also do appreciate, because everything else is basically bleak as hell. But yeah, just seeing a bit more of what the Commonwealth's like should be quite cool. I think the big drawback so far is just how long it takes them to get things done. 5 weeks to see the leader or whatever it was. It's just not really going to be good enough right now. So is there a reason why it just necessarily takes too long? Are they just overly cautious? Is there such a thing as overly cautious in this world? Is it something that people can get used to? Would they be willing to take in people from Alexandria and stuff? We'll have to wait and see, but I don't know where that's heading, but I'm excited, because I'm getting more and more sure that maybe the Commonwealth isn't actually going to be necessarily dodgy. Maybe just a bit wacky at times, but you get used to it, and I think it could be a solid place to settle, hopefully. Especially because it's the last season. If this weren't the last season, I would not trust this place in the slightest, but I feel like they're spending so much time bigging it up, it kind of needs to be maybe like our final destination for the show, perhaps. So honestly, I think Alexandria is going to be fucked. I know we had Aaron talking about, we need to fight to save and stuff, but you've always been fighting to save Alexandria. There's always been a problem. Maybe, we just can't waste the resources on it anymore. We have to sadly let it go, as awful as that would be. But I think this episode with like the Rosita and Judith scene, that was kind of saying you don't need these material things for your future, as long as you know what people you knew meant to you, how much they loved you. And I think that same can be said for, places where you've lived. Maybe it is just going to be, we know how important Alexandria was to us for a long time, but maybe we have to let it go now and move on and just leave it. So that could be an interesting thing. I did like also, I forgot to mention, the Judith and Rosita scene. It reminded me a lot of the scene with Rick and Carl in season 2, I think it was, the barn, where Rick was like, one day your mum's going to die, I'm going to die, no one's ever going to prepare you for it. Didn't age well really from Carl's point of view, but yeah, it reminded me a bit of that, and I thought that was a nice little callback if they were going for that. I imagine they were. But yeah, I liked Yumiko reuniting with her brother. Hopefully we'll get a bit more of it. I'm wondering, because he used to be a surgeon, maybe he can do something to help Ezekiel out? Maybe, we'll see. And I feel like Yumiko is certainly going to be part of the Commonwealth. I think she would offer them a lot. The fact that her brother's here as well. I'm excited to see where her story will go. Eugene and Stephanie sneaking in to get some contact, being reprimanded for it. Shenanigans, there's a lot, but I am actually quite intrigued by that whole story and where it may or may not lead. And yeah, don't know how I feel about Hornsby, but apparently he's a nice guy. But that's according to Stephanie, who I'm still not entirely sure we can trust anyway. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if it may have been a setup on Stephanie's part or something, and the fact that, you know, she got punished differently because she's a citizen or whatever. I don't know. I just feel like we need to learn a lot more about the Commonwealth before we can really decide how we feel about it. I'm sure comic readers know, but I don't. So maybe I'm just talking shit. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm hoping, you know, the end game of The Walking Dead probably does lie with the Commonwealth at this point. But have to find out at some point in the future. But yeah, that's, I think, basically everything I want to talk about. But really, really great episode. Loved what they did with it. The Judith and Rosita scene was definitely the standout for me. Loved that whole story, but I also loved what they did with Aaron, tying Carol's past storyline into it as well. Kind of send him back onto a better path, perhaps. Seeing more of the Commonwealth, how it all works, and, you know, Yumiko reunite with her brother and everything. That was all well and good. Looking forward to that being developed even further. Maybe getting more characters involved with it directly, because we started to get a bit of that with the radio call between Eugene and Rosita. So yeah, lots of interesting, cool stuff going on that I'm excited to see explored further. But really great episode. Looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. But until my next reaction, thanks for watching.